Hello, dear Starshines. Christina here with Rise of the Multidimensional Human and Lightbody Academy. Welcome to today's lunchtime chats. I will pause right here and give everybody a moment to join the chats. It takes a few minutes for people to get on, so I'm going to give everybody a second. If I read the topics too soon, then I end up repeating them anyway. So I will just chill out and wait for everybody to come on in. Come on in, come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. For those of you who are new, my name is Christina. I'm the acceleration expert. And for the chats, what we're here to do is talk about the topics and issues that are significant for starseeds, way showers, new paradigm visionaries in their everyday lives. We talk about very real issues that we face on a daily basis. And I do my best to provide a liberated perspective to these dynamics, to these scenarios, to these different events that go on in our lives. Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. Hello, dear Keith and Nancy and Georgette. Hello, Facebook user and Dale. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So as I get going on these topics, if you have questions, comments, or something you want to share, definitely put in the comments, because I do pause and read and go through all of those, everything that you guys are talking about and suggesting and sharing. So as I go and I say something that triggers a thought, definitely don't hold back, put it in there so we can talk about it and go deeper into these issues, into these topics. All right, so our topics for today. Help! I can't help it. I'm a heady kind of person. I'm drawn to the spiritual stuff, but I can't let go of the mind, as everybody tells me I need to do. Any advice? Absolutely. I have lots to say about that. I feel like this is a lot more, many more starseeds have this issue than we realize. So I'm happy to go into that. I think it's really a great thing for us to talk about. And then, and this actually came from a message I got earlier this week from a dear Starshine. There was a lot of things in the message, but particularly what I wanted to talk about was what can I do about my chakra removal not taking? Now, for those of you who have been in the group for a while, you know that chakra removal ends up rising to the surface for us to talk about it every year, at least once. So I'm happy to go into this because this is really a hot topic among starseeds specifically. Because there's young ones coming into this reality with a very different signature, soul signature, and they often have difficulty with the whole chakra system, the teachings and when I'm talking about chakras, I'm talking specifically the Vedic teachings around chakras, the 7 chakra model. And this is a standard operating procedure for any medicine worker in the West. So there's a reason for that, because when you go into ancient teachings, when you go into deep tribal indigenous teachings, there's no mention of chakras. So this is specific to the Vedic teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, and there's another holy book, and I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it. And this has been, those Eastern teachings were brought to the West, and this is where a lot of us have our understandings of the chakras that come from that. So I'm happy to talk about that. And then the third issue here, we are, it says, despite my daily grounding practices, I'm still being told that I'm not grounded. How do I A, not feel judged, and B, get more grounded? Great question. Thank you, Starshine, for sending me that. So welcome, everybody. I'm just going to say hi a little bit for our newcomers. Come on in, Tony and Julie, and hello, dear Facebook user. If you want me to be able to see your name in the video stream, in the actual streaming, the comments part, I'm sorry, the description part of the video streaming, if you click see more, there is a link at the bottom where you can click on that, and it'll go to StreamYard, and it'll give StreamYard permission to show your name, because that is actually the software that I'm using to do the simulcast. So we are broadcasting live from Colorado into 2 platforms, into Facebook, Rise of the Multidimensional Human group, where most of these topics come from that I talk about. And then we're also streaming live through the Lightbody Academy YouTube channel. So this is why I'm using the software, so I can stream to those places simultaneously. Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing? We're having an interesting cold flash going on. And you know, before I get going, I want to address something, because there's a lot of really nasty comments going back and forth between the different political leanings, you know, and I just want to make a comment about this, is that, you know, people are saying, you know, global warming isn't happening because the temperatures are getting colder. And really what this is about, this isn't about the temperatures, you know, our average temperatures becoming hotter or colder. What it means is that it's affecting the jet stream. It's affecting the major currents of our oceans. So they change, which means our climate will change. The Northwest, in, you know, like Washington and Oregon and all, you know, those have very mild climates because of the jet stream. If that jet stream changes drastically, like what it just did, then our climates will completely change, which means those ecosystems that have been developed over the time of having moderate climate, they're going to die, and it's going to change. Okay, so we really need to check ourselves when we get a hold of inflammatory information. Remember, inflammatory information via the media. Number one, the media is not interested in the truth. They're all about invoking a response. Okay, and there's something called astroturfing that they have down to an art, and you can tell when there's astroturfing going on because the headline and the text within the article is completely inflamed. Okay, it's like, you know, can you believe such and such did this? Like, it's like stuff that makes you outraged at the thought. Okay, so I'm just pausing real quick just to say that to you guys so you don't get hooked in, because this is a collective consciousness stream. As soon as you get hooked in a little bit, it's not just your current, it's the collective current. So it's like trying to, you know, wade gently in a pool of water that's actually a rushing river. Okay, so we need to remember that this is all meant to trigger reaction, and not really about explaining the truth to people. So it really means a lot for us to educate ourselves on these pieces that are important to us. Now, if the environment's not important to you, then great. You know, you don't need to invest your time and energy into it. But for many of us, it is. We feel a deep connection with the natural world and the animal kingdom and the elementals and, you know, the trees and the living beings that are nature around us. So we do have a level of investment. Us getting outraged and going down the spiral of disempowerment and helplessness does not help. Okay, it actually disempowers us in a way where we start colluding with the inflammation of the collective, rather than holding our space and holding our vibration and our frequency so we can stay in contact with the natural world. And I'm going to go further into that, because the natural world is reaching out to humanity in a major way. Those of you who are Sasquatch communicators know exactly what I'm talking about. Nature is reaching out to humans because they need us to wake up to them. They need us to wake up to them, to wake up to their beauty, to wake up to the reality that there's a lot more going on than we can see with our naked eyes. Humanity, quite literally, is blind to the subtle realms that make up our nature, that make up our natural world. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick activation, and then we're going to dive into these pieces. So we want to change the focus of energy in our biosuit, and we do that by simply bringing our awareness to the perineum. This is the perineum is between the scrotum and anus, vagina and anus. That's a very sensitive part of our pelvic floor. And just bring your awareness to that area. You can start breathing in life force to that area. You can start pulsing it. But when we do this, we are activating the lens that is hardwired into our biosuit, that connects us with the love songs of the mother, that connects us with the foundation fabric of the consciousness of the Pachamama. Okay, the Pachamama is the big dreamer that we are within right now. So we are unfolding ourselves within the great dream of the mother, and our lens to connecting with that, with the mother and the great dream, is that perineum. So when you start focusing on that area, you're actually changing where the energy is predominantly happening in the body. Now, when we're looking at electronics, we're seeing a lot of things with our eyes. Electricity collects, it all is up here, and we're in our thoughts and la la la, right? So just notice what your body does as you do this turning it upside down, right? You start bringing your awareness and your focus to that part of your body, and keeping your focus there. Every time you bounce out, bring it back. If you bounce out, bring it back. Until eventually you'll start overriding the sympathetic nervous system, and you'll start triggering the parasympathetic response, which is the rest and digest response of your biosuit. This is the cascade of hormones that are the feel-good hormones, the dopamine, the serotonin, okay? You start getting a different hormonal transmission going on within the body. You'll notice that you'll want to take a nice deep breath. Maybe your shoulders will relax. Maybe you'll just all of a sudden notice that you're holding your body in a kind of twisted way, okay? There is a definite response that happens when we change our focus like this. And this perineum is the lens to what I call the first dimension, 1D. This is where we begin. And I don't mean our soul's journey where we begin. I'm saying this is where we begin in our submersion, our immersion into this reality. We are here because our soul answered a call that the Pachamama, it was emanating. We felt it, we connected with it, however long ago or recently it might have been. And there was a yes within your being for that resonance. And you came into this realm. You may not have been physical at first, but that yes still brought you here to this realm. So in this, what you were saying yes to is you were saying yes to being a part of Mother Nature. You were saying yes to being a part of the reality of the realm of the mother, the dream of what her consciousness is bringing forward, okay? So maybe you started off as human, maybe you started off as something else. It doesn't matter. The dream, the realm that you're unfolding yourself within is the same. Yeah. Notice how calm your system gets. For those of you that are doing that pulsing and that redirective energy, just notice how calm it becomes. Things that maybe were bothering you a moment ago, all of a sudden don't seem that big of a deal. All right, so we have the dream of the mother. And then we have the next step of realization of self, which is Mother Nature, the stone people, the plant people, the water people, the elementals, the telluric realm, the crystal cities, the interdimensional realms of light. Okay, all these different elements coming together to give us the solid experience, the telluric realm. And the lens that we connect with and perceive with the telluric realm is our sacral area. For women, it's the womb space. So when we are feeling into things, and healers, you guys know this, when you're feeling into things, you'll get data sets about the body, about the tissues through this lens. So you can see the ionic imbalance. You can see and sense the hormonal stuff. You'll see and sense the tissues being twisted or distorted. Okay, depending on what level you're looking at. Our biosuit is extremely complex, but all of that is perceived through this lens here. It's felt. It's not like words come to you and you instantly know. The data sets in their pure form, it's felt. It's a feeling. It's a sensation. When you get body work, you're bringing your awareness back to the body. You're bringing your awareness back into the telluric intelligence of your body. Okay. And these biosuits are realms within realms within realms. Many nesting dolls coming together to create this body so we can imbue it with our consciousness. And in that imbuement, we are actually creating the 3D reality. 3D is space. 3D is that sense of separation. There's me, and then there's the plants. And it feels, on the 3D plane, it feels like we're separate. But as soon as I start resonating with the different elements within my own biosuit that are also in that plant, there is no space anymore between me and that plant. We are now resonating on the same plane. Okay. So this is why being able to go inwards and focus on the biosuit is so essential for interdimensional communications, and also for communications with like elementals, Sasquatch, fairies, you know, all these different beings that we perceive. We just simply resonate. You can resonate with different star frequencies within your body, and you're instantly now in the field of that star consciousness. So for a lot of us, this is how we talk to our star people. Okay, by simply shifting our awareness to a particular rhythm vibration within the body, and now we're in resonance. Our awareness is in resonance with that, and now we can have a conversation with beings that could be in the next galaxy. Okay, this is an ancient teaching that I'm talking about here. And then we have this beautiful canopy called the 4D field. This is the subtle realms, as in thoughts, emotions. It's the collective, some people might say the collective subconscious, but it's like the collective field, period. All thoughts, emotions, beliefs, this kind of thing is within this field. It's a canopy. And you can imagine this canopy being around you, like your energy field. It can also be the energy field around a cell. Okay, it also is the energy field around the planet. So there's many layers to what this 4D field is. So the 4D is invisible, though it has a very tangible impact on our experience. When you're having really busy thoughts that give you anxiety, okay, this is 4D interaction. When you have a lot of emotions happening and you're feeling like really weak and all over the place, and your biosuit's having a lot of reactions, okay, this is part of that 4D interaction. How we feel or perceive to feel other people's feelings, empaths, they are resonating with this 4D field. This is how we're getting different information about people. Okay, the lens for this 4D field is the solar plexus. And this is the aspect of the thread of our energy field and how we interact with all of our outside world. So there's a macro and a micro kind of component to this. This field is also characterized by the perception of good, bad, right, wrong, left, right, male, female, okay, black, white. It's a polarity. It splits things into opposites. Our belief systems that maybe are influencing our here and now moment, that maybe we ourselves have not invested ourselves in, right? But yet it's still part of our field, and it will have influence. This is because there are thoughts, feelings, emotions of our ancestors that are inside of our bodies. They come to us through our mother line, but it's not just isolated to that. Okay, so by time you're birthed, you've already been basking in the 4D field of the thoughts and feelings of your mother. Okay, so you've already come pre-programmed, let's call it like that. So there's lots of times when we grow up and maybe we're the opposite of our parents, but yet the belief systems and thought forms of our parents are still in our subconscious, contributing to the creation of our here and now reality. Okay, because really our here and now reality is 10% conscious, 90% unconscious, okay, or subconscious, depending on how you look at that. Okay, and now we're getting into upper dimensional realms. All of these upper realms we perceive through this field. And this is why so many spiritual teachers and teachings say you have to get out of the mind. Okay, you have to get out of the mind to make contact with certain intuitive data sets and certain kinds of knowing, certain kinds of perceptions, is because everything has to pass through this field. And if you're getting data sets, let's say from the Akasha, say you're getting data sets from the Akasha and it happens to trigger a family wound, you are now, instead of actually seeing the data set for what it is, you're going to experience the pain, the past pain and trauma of the family wound instead, because that energy signature, that vibration is passing through the 4D field before it can come into your conscious mind. So this is why they say that. But I'm telling you, there are definitely there's other ways to go about this. But ultimately, you will get to a place of being able to let go of the mind, or needing to let go of the mind. But, it's not a direct path for many. It really isn't, because we've inherited things. We've inherited things from our family. We've inherited things from our soul's journey. Okay, so there's lots of nesting dolls that are in the unseen world that we don't have clear teachings about. So they have no idea how to address those as issues that are impacting our lives. Not to mention, it's in our subconscious, and by definition, we're not aware of it because it's in our subconscious, right? So the teachings that we have. When they get corrupted, it may seem like so what, but it's actually a really big deal, because we exist on all these levels. We have energy, life force that is occupying each of these levels of our being, but because of the belief systems and different ideas that we have in that 4D field, we're cut off from it. We're cut off from being able to touch it with our awareness. Okay, so let me go through a few other of these. So we have the Akasha. And this could be the soul's journey Akasha of the planet. It could be the Akasha of the solar ring. It could be the Akasha of the galaxy. It could be the Akasha of the universe. There's many, many nesting dolls of records that you can reach within the Akasha. Many star seeds that do Akashic record work have awoke beyond the earth Akashic records and are going into more records of the galaxy or beyond. And this is where you start having data come to you, or be able to extract data out of the Akashic field that are referring to non-human lifetimes. Times when you were not in a biosuit like this, but maybe you were in a spider biosuit, or maybe a reptilian biosuit, or a gray, or an Anunnaki, or whatever, you know what I mean? Someone who's open to these levels beyond is able to go into and extract those kinds of records out of the Akasha for you. And the point isn't just to have that information. The point is to actually detangle and, get your life force out from being entangled in these certain dynamics that are in the Akasha. And when you do that, that life force is no longer entangled in that drama that's not in the here and now anymore, right? And brings it back home to the here and now. Okay. And then we have and the lens for our Akashic field is the heart. So when you want to access the Akasha, there is a practice of going up, a feeling of going up and out, but really there is a doorway to the Akasha within your own physical heart. So going in and feeling love, gratitude, compassion, being in that frequency, the doorway will reveal itself to you, and then you can walk right through it and access the Akasha, not just for yourself, but for anybody you intend. And then we have the 6D, which is the light geometry. This is the lenses in the throat here, and the light geometry is the light form behind everything that has a form. So every cow on the planet has a light body form. Every plant, every butterfly, every human has a light body form. And for us humans, because we are here as creator beings, our light bodies are extremely dynamic, okay? And it's actually contains within it the unfoldment, our entire unfoldment through the Milky Way galaxy. So our light body has structures, or let's say patterns within it that are beyond just the human form. And then we have the 7D, which is the perception of frequencies. This is what we would perceive through our intuitive complex. So it's pineal, pituitary, hypothalamus. Those three specifically, they have to work together. You don't want to just open the pineal gland without the other two. You need to have those all three glands come on together. It's very, very important, because what happens is you'll open the pineal gland, but then you're getting truncated data sets from that. When your hypothalamus is not coming online, you'll get intuitive data sets, but it has to pass through the hypothalamus. And if the hypothalamus is deactivated, you're not going to get an accurate movie. You're not going to get accurate images. You're going to get very slowed down, distorted images that represent the frequencies that you're perceiving through the third eye. So it's really important that all three of these come online together. You work them together. And this is a wisdom teaching that I got from the Hyperboreans, which were the giants before humanity came. Anyway, so frequency, this is also your soul song. This is the stellar networks, okay? This is the perception of frequency, rhythms, sounds, okay? And then unseen wavelengths of light. I'm sorry, unaudible wavelengths of sound, okay? So that's the 7D. And then you have the 8, which is the all that is presence. This is a level of consciousness that is all beings, all things, everything. It's the all that is kind of awareness. A lot of people might call that God, but most humans that do understand this of God also have a distortion with it, because they believe that there's some that can be forsaken, and they often include themselves into that sometimes. The idea that anybody can be a sinner, the idea that anybody can do something, do something bad to be kicked out of the realm of the all that is. Not possible. It's all that is. You know what I mean? It's a thread that runs through everything. Nothing can be that is not part of the is. And then you have the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And the center of the Milky Way galaxy is accessible in the what I call the Viracocha. Some people might call it the 8th chakra. It's this golden sun that resides at the top of your energy field. Without this golden sun, you would not actually be a human being. You would not have a human biosuit. You'd be something else. So this golden sun is your personal access point, your coupling point to the galactic mind and beyond the central sun. Okay, so those are the dimensions. And let me circle back around to the question about the heady. People think people who are really heady, they really need to understand, and because of that, it maybe cuts off energy or chokes things out, or gets in the way. It stops the movement, or keeps people in a place of not knowing or constantly doubting, stuff like this. And there's a lot of that, because especially in Western culture, because we're trained to be that way. Our entire reality in the Western world exaggerates the mental field. The music we listen to, the frequency of the music exaggerates our mental field. Learning how to read at a young age, that exaggerates the mental field. That's enhancing one's engagement with linear thought, linear structure of language, okay? So that is narrowing our bandwidth. That's taking us out of the abstract and getting into the linear. And we're meant to be in both places at once, okay? So and then on top of that, we have all this stuff that happens to a kid when they can't read or don't read well. We start shaming them. We start doing all these things to them. So we start getting emotionally involved and wanting to stay in the linear, to be able to accept what is linear, right? So there's the reading, there's the electronics, blue light, the electronic light. This is all stimulating your mental field. This is all stimulating your mind. Okay. When we communicate with other people, if we've created a social construct where the people who we perceive as successful, right, are really smart, they're logical, right? They do really well in corporate settings, or they do well in very specific categories of life. Not realizing, outside looking in, we think they're all great because they have what we don't have. But when you're walking through those shoes, those folks are miserable. They do succeed. They reach the goal, but then they realize their life is empty. And this is where you get the characters like Tony Robbins and Dodge, what's his face, and you know what I mean? These billionaires that made it and then found themselves to be empty and had to backtrack and find meaning in their lives. Okay, this is because they were really good at the linear. They got that. But now they realize it's only half the picture. There's so much more to their existence. And then they dedicate themselves to helping other humans and therefore helping themselves discover what that other aspect is. So the mental field is something that's extremely exaggerated in the human form in Western society. And to add insult to injury with that, we also have trauma. We have trauma dramas. We have pain. We have heartbreak. We have addiction. Okay, we have all these other things that that our only refuge to being able to shut off the pain is to go into our mental field, to stay in the linear. Okay. But also, maybe not just the linear, because there's also people who will start retreating into fantasy worlds, like the video game thing. That's a major phenomenon with the youth. But then you also have ones that are just, we call daydreamers, right? They're just staring at the window all the time, imagining, dreaming about something that's not in the here and now. And then there's like a judgment with that. So there's lots and lots of opportunities to get overrun with the mental field. And it's not just something that you can just shut off. Okay. The only people that I've ever met that have ever been able to just shut it off like a switch are the ones that suffered traumatic brain injuries. Okay. And those completely changed their lives, and they had to learn through pain and crisis how to adapt and be with the world again. Okay. So that's not an ideal way to go, right? Who wants to have that? So we need to accept the reality that we've said yes to being here in a biosuit, and we're in a situation that rewards and exaggerates our mental perceptions, our mental field, our good, bad, right, or wrong polarity way of seeing things. Okay. And how do you start counteracting all this? This is the big question. So there's lots of really great things out there that we can do. Number one, and this is something we all know, mindful meditation is very helpful. Breathing exercises coupled with meditation is very helpful. And the reason why is because just like with that pulsing with the perineum, breathing will actually stimulate the parasympathetic response of the body, and it will help you slow down. When we're racing really quickly and everybody a bunch of directions, we don't recognize it, but our biosuit, our body is in a fight or flight mode. Okay, you're in survival mode at that point, and your body's not resting and digesting the way it needs to be at peace within itself. So things that stimulate this parasympathetic nervous response is your friend. Now, parts of your mind's going to want to fight it, because it's against what you're used to doing. So it's kind of like kicking a drug habit, to help, to mitigate the mental stuff. So if you look at it in that way, maybe you can have a little bit more compassion for yourself and understand that you have been in this wave with all this momentum for a really long time. To expect you to just do this turn and change it all, that's too much. That's like taking all the heroin away from the heroin addict. What happens when you do that? They go through massive withdrawal, lots of pain. Okay. Not saying you can't do that, but I don't know about you, but I think there's enough suffering in the world. Why do we need to add more? Right? Okay. So there's that kind of thing. But the other thing that you could be doing when you feel like you're heady and you're really stuck in your head is to adapt some sort of creative practice. It could be art. It could be poetry. It could be wood building. It could be gardening, something where you're working with your hands and you're making something, okay? You're getting in touch with the creatorship of your being inside of your body. Could be painting rocks, making jewelry, making music. Musicians are, they don't even realize, well, I think many of them do, but, a lot of people just don't even realize what a liberation it is to learn how to play an instrument. It's a beautiful thing, especially when you realize you love it and you're really good at it, right? So there's that kind of thing. Whatever it is, it needs to be something you truly enjoy and want to do. That's going to help you fight the momentum of this linear. And it will also help you take that linear mindset and apply it to something that's more than just thoughts about things and judgment and taking in data. You're actually creating something now with it. So you're now bringing it back. So it's closer in alignment with your creative nature, with your true nature as a creator, right? So that's something else you could be doing. The other thing that is very helpful is singing. I know that sounds funny, but singing works the throat. And what we don't realize about the throat is that we are creating vibration. We are creating sound waves. So a lot of people think the throat is about, perceiving and seeing the truth, which that could be, especially if you have chakras, right? Not everybody has chakras in this group. I'm just letting you guys know that there's a very eclectic group of beings here, and the chakra system is not a default to being human. And I'll talk more about that as I go. I know it's a shock to there's belief systems that really to take that as a shocking thing, or like, what, this person's crazy, but do hear me out. Do hear me out on this topic. Anyway, so when you're creating sound, you're actually creating vibration. And when you are singing, especially when singing with others, singing in tune, singing in key and harmony with others, you are building resonance with your intention and focus, okay? And it has a nervous system response. Your biosuit responds to that. Your heart responds to that, okay? So singing with others is a wonderful, wonderful practice to help you if you find yourself to be a really heady person. Now, I'm tone deaf, but I can sing with another person because I can feel the note. I can't hear the note, as my note as matching theirs, but I can feel it when it's happening. And it's like ecstasy. It's like a great big smile happens inside. And I just love, love, love harmonizing with another singer. And it really helps if they're a great singer too, of course. So that vibration, you're utilizing vibration to stimulate your awareness in a different way. And the other thing is, and I'm going down the list now, guys, hope you're writing it down, is paying attention to how you feel. Okay. Now, when I was a teenager, there's a lot of drama in my family. There's a lot of stuff going on. And there was quite literally, I cried because I had no idea how I felt. Somebody asked me how I was feeling about something, and I didn't know. And then later on in my room, when I was by myself, I dug. I was like, gosh, I have to have some kind of feeling about it. How do I really feel about it? And I couldn't get to it. And I cried. I cried because I felt like I was robbed of something, like there was something wrong here, that I couldn't get in touch with how I was feeling. And that was because I had a lot of problems in the education system, and they kept testing me over and over again. And I would test really high off the charts with intelligence, but for some reason I could never do well in school. And it was really because I didn't care about school. I hated every bit of it, and I was in rebellion mode. But anyway, that smart was the only thing that was ever rewarded in my life. So I really went into the mind. And what happened is that I went so far into the linear field and invested so much of my identity in that, I lost touch with how I was feeling about things. So I was always in, not good relationship. I had a couple friends that were really good friends, true friends, but most of my relationships were not healthy relationships. I didn't really like people. I loved nature. I loved my dog, and we hiked. That was my therapy. And that was great therapy. And that's something that I would recommend for you guys too, if you find yourself as a heady person. But so that moment was a poignant moment for me that I was realizing how disconnected from myself I was. So taking the time to slow down, go into that parasympathetic response so you can actually feel how you're feeling is huge. And then once you get to feeling how you feel, really knowing that, journal it, okay? And this is because when you are journaling, especially if you write cursive, okay? When you're journaling, you're taking something that is maybe hard to touch, and you're bringing it to a different side of your brain, and you're making, you're bringing it out into a written form. So you're actually digesting your feelings at that point. Okay. Now, a lot of people use writing for like channeling and stuff like that. I don't suggest doing that, not until you know how you feel first. So really getting in touch with how you feel is gold, 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 because then you will truly be able to have your feeling and your thoughts at the same time. And a lot of people, that's not how it works for them. They have their thoughts. If you ask them how they feel about something, they will tell you what they think about how they feel. That's usually especially for Westerner. If I ask them how they feel about this, they will tell me their opinion about their thought, or they'll tell the reason why they feel that way. They don't actually say, I'm scared, I'm hurt. Okay. So it takes practice, and it takes the willingness to really want to know what's happening inside of here. Okay. So there's that kind of thing. We all learn differently. We all process differently. So there's no one way. There's lots of different ways. The other thing that you could be doing is to incorporate movement into your world. So, you know how they talk about, someone says they do the happy dance, right? You can start associating, like when you're happy, when you actually have that feeling, you can start associating a little dance with that. Okay, this will also help you integrate. You can have your happy dance. You can have your sad dance. You can have your lonely stance. You know what I mean? You can start associating these feelings with certain kinds of postures. This is an ancient teachings that was lost long ago by a tribe. It was one of the Polynesian tribes. They had meditation postures that were specific to certain feelings and experiences of the human experience. And the person who was devoid of a particular kind of experience but wanted to experience it would their teacher or mentor or whatever would take them into holding that posture for a period of time. It could be for an hour, it could be for 2 hours, whatever. So there's a lot to be said about the proprioceptors within the body. The proprioceptors, this tells your brain where your body is in time and space. So when you're set in a certain way that has a resonance with many other humans that practice that same practice, you are tuning in through your proprioception. You're tuning into that vibration, and you could tune into every human that's ever sat in that position, embodying that feeling. Okay. So that can also bring you in deeper to how you feel. People who speak light languages and stuff are in touch with how they're feeling in their essence, and they can give it a sound. That doesn't happen like that. And a lot of people, when they're not doing it very carefully, they will actually pull themselves out of their body, and they'll go into like an ecstatic frenzy with the language versus staying in the feeling that's happening. Okay. It's a feeling, it's a journey of feeling, speaking a light language. Okay. So the other thing we could be doing is working with that tactile sense, working with your feeling, working with paying attention to the rhythms of your body. This is one of the reasons why I incorporate this, one of the many reasons why this is incorporated in the work that we do at Lightbody. Practicing on listening to the body. And I don't mean saying something and not listening for a response. I mean actually paying attention to the pulses, paying attention to the heartbeat, how it feels. Pay attention to the rhythm in the solar plexus, how it feels. Okay. Now, I happened to do a thing last night with the global gathering, this beautiful vision that Adair Starshine has about bringing healers together around the world to offer free healings and support to people, during these challenging times. And, 90% of the teachers there were all doing visualizations. Okay. And the reason why they're doing visualizations, because most humans are in the mental field. This is really helpful for those that are invested in the mental field. But the side effect of that is becoming ungrounded, what we call ungrounded. Okay. The side effect is that the electricity in your body, the energy in your body rises up and stays up here, right? That's the side effect. But when you are engaged with your feeling, with the sensations, the side effect is actually bringing you deeper into your body, hence becoming more grounded and more centered. Okay. So the more you pay attention to your heartbeat, the more detail of that heartbeat you're going to have access to, and the calmer and deeper your awareness will be able to sink into your body. The easier it'll be to be in touch with how you actually feel. And if that sense will become so keen that when you're listening to your heartbeat, you can actually feel a quality with the heartbeat, like a flutter or a strong pulse, consistent. You know what I mean? You'll feel these certain kinds of textures and in sensations or and senses with the quality of that heartbeat. And then can refine it even more, and you can listen to the rhythm of your liver, listen to the rhythm of your kidneys, and again, get to a quality that those kidneys are pulsing at. Okay, now you're really going deep into the body. And by you simply witnessing the pulses, they begin to change. They begin to become stronger. They become like, if it's a fluttery, weak kind of quality pulse, it'll start to shift and become more confident in its pulse. Okay, stuff like that will start to happen simply by paying attention and having your awareness placed upon it. And the last thing I'll add to this list is body work. Body work is gold. Good body work. It's intimate, but it really helps you feel what's going on in your body. My background is in body work. Okay, so I have a lot of body work training, and I can't tell you how many times I've been working on someone. They wasn't until I'm working on an area did they say, "Wow, I had no idea that I was holding tension there," until I started working it. So body work is a golden opportunity to deepen your awareness into the state of your body and how it is and how you're feeling. Many people have significant emotional releases when they have an excellent body work session. Okay. And there's a gazillion kinds of modalities. All modalities are good. It's really about the integrity of the practitioner. It's intimate. It helps you tune into the body, and you have someone in your space touching you deeply, but without any kind of expectation, without it being turned into something sexual, without it being something that, you know what I mean? It's something that's very safe and nurturing for your beingness. To receive nurturing touch without expectation, without demand, is so healing for the human. All right, I'm going to pause and check in with you guys. I know I did go a long time, didn't I? Oh, I did. Look at this big list. Okay, I'm going down. All right, I'm starting with dear brother Keith. He says, technical FYI, I use a Chromebook, so FB Live isn't something I ever use. So thank you for posting this on YouTube. Yes. And it's exactly people like you that I'm doing this for, because, Facebook isn't for everybody. It's just not. Anyway, so Joanne says the rushing river analogy is perfect. I would love to use it. Yes, absolutely. Hola, Laura. Good to see you. Hello, Martine. Hey, guys. Brightest blessings. Hello. Hello, Garrett. Martine Evans says, Martina, just wondering something. How do I get rid of entities for good? I can manage a few days, but they keep coming back, mainly a white lighter who just wipes me out and bounces around the whole family. Okay, so that could be something what I would call as a family entity. So you have to get to the original access point that entity entered on, because that access point, likely, I'm not saying absolutely, but likely is a traumatic event. And as you guys know, PTSD and trauma is passed down the generations. So usually it's a traumatic event that resulted in a conclusion and a belief that was then passed down through the family. So you have to get the deep-seated, you have to get to either the light body, the encodement of what it being there in the first place, or get to that deep-seated trauma and belief that's anchoring it in. So then this is an important piece that she's talking about, because you can extract entities all day, but if you don't extract the reason why they're there, they can just come back. We call it back because our energy field doesn't recognize it as foreign, because it's a perfect frequency match for something that's already living inside. You see what I mean? So it's not as easy as just extracting. You really got to get to that seed of why it's there, why your energy field isn't recognizing it as a foreign frequency. And it's not uncommon to have entities that go through families. All right, dear sister Joanne says, thank you for the focus on the mental field. Such great information. Yeah, thank you, darling. Here, let me go ahead and click on that. All right, dear brother Keith says, is there a way to speak about or bring up my insecurities, phobias, traumas, abuses, and my issues without reinforcing them? Honestly, I just want to out and say what I'm feeling, but okay, I just went out. Right, so this gets to that ungrounded piece. All right, I'll go ahead and start talking about that. So we can do energetic grounding practices until the cows come home. I'm talking about old paradigm, new paradigm stuff. Okay. And Keith, I'm going to weave this in with what you're asking. So In the old days, right? See if you guys agree with me, let me know. The grounding practice is like growing roots into the ground, feeling the rich soil support you, or maybe feel the ground underneath you and feel it how when you push down into your feet, your body rises up, or maybe on the energetic level, it's creating a grounding cord of some kind of energetic color or texture that helps you feel grounded, and then you anchor that core into the core of the earth. Okay, those are examples of old paradigm ways of grounding. Okay, so here's the thing. There is more and more quantum of us that's available to be housed in our biosuit than ever before. I mean, I know the world's in chaos right now, but there's like massive unification energies happening on this planet as well. Okay, so there's more of who we are accessible than ever before. We can actually embody our higher self. It actually can be home right here, right now. It doesn't need to be in that oversoul position. Okay, and what that means is that what it means to be grounded, what it means to be centered, that definition has changed. It's not just a matter of keeping your energy in the ground. There's so much more that has to be addressed. This practice with the rhythms, this is an excellent way that's new paradigm way to ground and center. When you ride your rhythms down the body to the perineum and open the doors to the songs of the mother, love fills your body, ecstasy, even if you can really get yourself to allow that level to be transmitted to you from the earth. You do not need to extend your energy outside of your energy field. Everything is coming to you. And when the songs of the mother are proliferating through your field, more and more and more of your quantum becomes present within the physical body. Okay, so there's more to it though. There's more. The thing is that how do you address wanting to be here? Because quite literally, when more of you is now in your biosuit, there's more spectrum here to what it is your body, what your being wants to experience. When you're like this in your quantum, you want to experience the original intention of you being born, right? A, B, and C, whatever that might be, the purpose. But now you unify huge amounts of your quantum. And now there's all this here of different reasons for wanting to be here. Okay, so your taste will change. What you want changes. Now it feels like a counterintuitive thing because how you were serving your purpose and feeling fulfilled all of a sudden is not, right? And then we start to doubt ourselves. We start to question ourselves. We start to think everything that we did before was wrong. When really all that happened, more of our soul in essence is now here now, right? In the body. And there's another purpose that wants to come out of that. Okay. So when you were in a life that at one point in time, it worked for a while, but then all of a sudden it's not working anymore. Okay. That's not a problem with the world or you. The problem is shifting gears, going inside and finding your passion, your desire to be here. It has to be something you want to do on a soul level. If you're in a relationship that doesn't feed your soul and you're just going through the motions, you're checked out of that relationship. You're not showing up. You're just one foot in front of the other. If you're at a job that you're just doing to pay your bills and it doesn't fulfill you at all in any way, shape, or form, you're completely disinterested. Of course, that all that confidence within your being doesn't want to be present for that. So it checks out and you go and do the do the drone thing that you do. And maybe when you come home, things get richer. Or maybe there's a particular kind of creation that was your passion. You loved it. And all of a sudden the gears shifted and it wasn't for you anymore. But now you have to keep doing it for whatever reason, either because of belief or whatever else. You're not going to be checked in for that. You're not passionate about it. Only a part of you, the most minimal part of you, is going to be present for you to go through the motions to doing what you have to do. Okay, so we have to broaden the ideas of why we're here and allow ourselves to find our passion. That passion is going to shift and change the more you integrate, but it's your passion, your love, and your desire that's going to keep you here. That's what it is. You have to find something you love and that you have a deep passion for. If that's not you, and if you're thinking about your life and you're like, my God, I'm completely devoid that, do something about it. It's up to you now to say yes to your own soul and do something about it. Okay, so it's not about following the rules. It's not about, not hurting people's feelings or anything like that. It's about you fighting for the will to live. Okay, for real. If you have nothing to live for, why get, this? Then you're going to end up in that listless kind of situation, and everything's going to be disappointing and lifeless. I'm not trying to be cruel here. I'm just saying it how I see it. So that passion piece is huge, and that will change. So give yourself a break and do make that decision. It's just a matter of making the decision on an internal level. I am going to find my passion. I am going to call my passion forward. And when it shows up, I'm going to say yes, 100%. Okay. So that decision is internal. And once it's made here, it's only a matter of time before it arises and out here. What happens is if we aren't a yes in here, the opportunity arises here, and then we don't take it because we haven't made the decision yet. So the decision has to be made right here before you can actually say yes to it when it presents out here. Now, it may seem confusing and like, how do I change my situation? How do I do this? How do I do that? That's where the mind is getting involved. And the mind will get involved, of course, but this is where you start doing those other practices that you know to do. All right, how to requalify your awareness so you're just not in the head. So your head's busy, 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 busy. There's a nervous system response to that. Change that. Change the nervous system response. Don't try to shut off your mind, because if you could do that, you already would be doing it, right? Instead, do what you can do, which is shift the biosuit. Shift the state of being in the biosuit. Go back to the parasympathetic response. Go back to calming your system. Go back to the moment of peace and contentment, and then readdress. Okay. I hope this is helpful. All right. Well, it seems to overwhelm the people around me. When I do, I'm not looking to overwhelm. Yeah. Well, part of that, a lot of that is because you're not in your body, darling. And people get overwhelmed by others that aren't in their body because the energy is out here. It's being expressed, and it just gets exacerbated when people don't want to hear what's being expressed. So when you're out here expressing it and people don't want to hear it, or they don't want to have it, you're re-experiencing a wound. They're experiencing their story and their wound and whatever their judgment is. And then it's just this mess of energy exchange. And then very often the empath will walk away feeling completely in regret that they ever tried to say anything. And then, that just turns into a downward spiral. Like, why do I even try? You know what I mean? So it's a cycle, and you just got to know where in that cycle you have that opportunity to do something different. Okay, just where in that cycle do you have an opportunity to change the energy within yourself? Always start with yourself, right? Where can you switch the momentum, or at least stall it or even stop it? Okay. All right. Hello, dear Sister Ray. Hey, you. Hello. Dancing, singing, symbolic action is essentially investing faith in a state of being. It's why spells have been so popular in history. Investing symbolic action is creating reality. There's a lot to what you said there, especially with the magic. Magic is, we call it magic, but really it's just manifesting and stepping into your creatorship. And there's so many ways to do it. The more we're invested in validating, like seeing is believing, the more we're invested in this, the more narrowing we are of our bandwidth of possibility. So, and this is why I bring Dreamtime into the work in the Lightbody Healing Project, or the Lightbody Healing. I'm totally switching the names around. That's why I do the Dreamtime work with the Dreamtime Healing Project in Lightbody, because what that does is when you're sharing in group, when you're doing dream shares, you're opening and practicing having the linear beta frequencies and the theta delta frequencies happening at the same time in your brain. So you can actually be in the linear and the abstract at the same time. And when you do this, it starts opening fields of perception. And you can start feeling, sensing things that you didn't realize were there before. And it's really quite amazing. I love it. All right. All right. So I'm back to Facebook user earthing. To right, sister, for grounding, walking barefoot. Yeah. So earthing is a wonderful way to stimulate the parasympathetic response to the body. Connecting with nature is always a great choice. Here, let me go ahead and show that one. Connecting with nature is always a great choice. As I said earlier in my story, that, you know, being in nature, hiking a lot with my dog, that was my therapy. And it's because you know, there's a resonance that's in the forest. There's a resonance that's within these elemental beings. And when you're walking through these places, you're not just walking in a forest of things that grow. There's other kinds of life there. There's elemental beings there. There's other kinds of nesting dolls of consciousness there. So when you're walking and being exposed to these other fields, it's stimulating your energy field in a different way. And it's actually pulling you out of that mental frame up habit and calming your system and allowing you to have another kind of experience. Nature is our friend. Nature is our medicine, for real. So many of us already know that. I guess I needed to accentuate that a little bit more. All right, this is Keith again. It kind of feels like my passion is in making fantasy into reality. Like writing stories. Okay, but I often have trouble distinguishing the difference between actual fantasy and inspired potential healthy fantasy. Right. So healthy fantasy would be when you write it down, you actually create something in the 3D with what you're fantasizing about. Okay, that would be creating. So there's, you know, we go into daydream. And sometimes it might look like I'm daydreaming because I look out my window on the horizon a lot. But really what I'm doing is I'm going into another field, a waking dream time field, and I'm moving energy. I'm addressing things on this kind of nesting doll level. So people might call that fantasy, but it has a tangible change in the here and now 3D. So whatever you're doing, if it's impacting your 3D, it's helpful, right? It's you being your creator self. When you're in a fantasy world and nothing is coming of it except you checking out, then it's not helpful. That's how I would measure that. All right. It's a mess of an energy exchange. Why do I even try? Yes, yeah. Okay, gotcha. Thank you, T. Garrett. I'm sorry, Garnet. I'm saying Garrett, but it's Garnet. Okay, then another Facebook user says, thank you for expressing from inside to out is so grounded. Only then our communication is really heard. Yeah, that's a thing. Oh my gosh, and time's flying by and I haven't got to the chakra thing yet. All right, I need to get to that. So this is a thing among starseeds, especially the idea of chakra removal. And with the starseeds, with the beings that I've worked so far, there's a few different camps. There's a few different positions here. One is some multidimensional way showers pretty much say, you know, our entire system is hijacked. The only way to get out of the hijacked matrix is to completely disengage those systems from your biosuit, which is Kundalini and chakras together. Those are two paradigms that are anchored in the biosuit that don't need to be there anymore. And they put people through a process of bringing themselves, removing those constructs. Okay. Often it needs to be done multiple times, but sometimes it's completed in one shot. I can testify to people that humans do not die when they remove their chakra system. I've seen them. I work with those kinds of people and they're still living and they actually feel extremely liberated from that kind of experience. Okay. The other camp is when they spontaneously just shed their chakras. And what that looks like is that the chakras are no longer in a rainbow colored, you know, the 7 chakra model in rainbow colors. What happened is that their shapes, they implode and then explode, and the chakras start to merge and they become radiant suns. Usually it becomes 3 radiant suns of light, gold, silver, opalescent light. Okay. And there's several starseeds that shared with me the spontaneous experience that happened for them, and it was life-changing. A lot of their illnesses went away, and these are starseeds that suffer from extreme allergies, from fibromyalgia, debilitating inflammation. Okay, and all of their symptoms go instantly away after that event happened. Okay, so there's that kind of camp. And then there's also young ones, especially the crystalline diamond kids that come to this planet that are just born in a biosuit that doesn't actually have chakras. And when they start engaging in energy medicine practices that teach the chakras, they are turned off instantly. They want nothing to do with it. And it's because for them, they actually can feel their spectrum of light, their beingness being split and categorized, compartmentalized, let's say, into each of the chakra colors of the spectrum. So for them, they have a massive aversion to that kind of teaching and any kind of energy work that goes along those lines. And then you have the people that have been in this path for a very long time, and that's like the chakras are part of their wisdom path. They've invested into, you know, I don't know, maybe say it's like Reiki or you know, doing all kinds of different balancing with the chakras and doing the beach mantras and even invested themselves to learn Sanskrit so they can chant mindfully the petals of the chakras and stuff like this. And that's the camp that usually becomes very offended at the idea of what these other people are bringing forward. But there are people in that camp that do wake up out of the system that they're in, and they start to feel confined by it in some way. And those are the ones that often pursue a removal process. They'll pursue a practitioner that can offer the removal process. And I have to say, the word removal isn't quite accurate. I mean, with the one camp it is, because they're actually closing out all of their soul contracts agreements from the seed thought of the chakra system and completely ending it and pulling their energy out. So I guess in a way that could be removal. But for the rest of them, it was like an evolution. You know, it was an evolution of their awareness, of their energy, of their quantum that happened. Like when I was saying, like when you came into a body, you're embodying this much of your quantum, then all of a sudden you're embodying this much of your quantum, right? Those are the ones that often have those spontaneous experiences of the chakras imploding and turning into something else. Okay. I'm not saying it has to be, because I know beings that are self-realized that still have a chakra system. Okay, they're fine. They're, you know, no big deal. Where it becomes an issue is when people start waking up to all the control systems, the programs, the entities, the imprints, all the different ways that humanity's consciousness has been hijacked, and they associate all that hijacking energy with the constructs of their chakra system. And this is why a lot of people get so much liberation from it, is because once they remove those constructs from their energy field, and there's something else that can develop, the feeling of being hijacked ends instantly. Okay. So who are we to judge what someone's path is, right? There's some people who've gone through the chakra removal process that have huge aversions to anybody that talks about chakras or wants to assess their chakras or whatever, right? And whatever, that's theirs to have. And other people are maybe not so much, don't have so much aversion. I'm in either camp. I'm like, whatever, whatever works for you, whatever's helping you move forward in the embodying more of your quantum, do that. No one can tell you what's right or wrong, because right or wrong is just this field. When you go to these levels over here, there's no such thing. It's all about the purpose, the agenda, why something is happening. That's what it's about. Okay, so I'm maybe a little bit unusual because I don't really have a favoritism towards one way or the other. I do, however, have thoughts around people who will not allow the reality for these other people to exist. Okay, because that is actually bottlenecking that person into their belief system. So I do have a problem with that. Just like, I have a problem with people who are over here thinking that someone with a chakra system and works with Kundalini can never attain, become self-realized. This is judgment. These are my teachings are wiser than your teachings bullshit. Okay. And yes, it is. It's bullshit, because when it's time, it's time. Nothing's going to stop it. Not your mind, not your ego, nothing. Nothing's going to stop it, because when it's time, it's time. That means with all these nesting dolls of creation all through here, when it's time, nothing's going to stop it. Nothing can make it end, okay, or keep it from happening. So when we get in touch with these aspects of us, the galactic mind, the all that is, the soul song, the frequency of our being, our light body, when we're looking into that, when we're actually having interactions with this aspects of our being, you know the truth of what I'm saying. You know, you can't push the river. You can hop in a boat or a tube and go along the river, but you can't push the river. And is it appropriate for us to do so, right? Who do you know who's had success pushing the river? Raise your hand. Right? Okay. So this is really about trusting your process, and your process is what it is, and your process is likely not going to look like other people's process. It's not fair to compare. It really is not fair to compare. Some people can jump right in and just take off like rockets, and other people, there's more that needs to happen for them. And believe me, when they stick with it and the things that need to happen for them, when they do, they are golden nuggets of wisdom, golden nuggets of power for that person. So it totally does a disservice to, think that the person on the rocket's got something going on that this person over here doesn't. It's not a fair comparison. We all are here for our reason. We all have our agreement to unfold ourselves within the Pachamama, and each of the unfoldments we're choosing to do are unique to us. It's between us and the earth. It's us and Pachamama. No one else. No one can tell us. No God can tell us. No guru can tell us. Okay. A lot of our minds want someone to tell us, because then we don't have to figure it out for ourselves. And then we can trust that, that person was right. But no. You are here to be a sovereign being. You have to trust yourself. You have to believe in yourself. Okay. Sure, it's nice when you get external validation, but if that is all if that's has to happen for you to take those next steps, you're never going to take that next step until someone else does it already. So how are you being a way shower at that point, right? You guys feel what I'm saying with that? All right. I know I'm being very, very direct with how I'm putting it, but time's short, so I need to get it all in there. So go ahead, let me know if you have any questions or thoughts about that. Maybe you guys have some thoughts about the whole chakra thing. I know it's offensive for some folks, but really, so let me tell you a story about how I even came to this place of being with the whole chakra thing. Gosh, I don't know, maybe it was 3 years ago, might have been more. A few years ago, I was called to go to Tulum in Mexico. And it was a very interesting trip, let me tell you. I came across so many beings, human and not, and there was a lot of work to unwind. There's a lot of stuff to unwind from the not just the cenotes within in Mexico and in Tulum, but the sacred sites, Chichen Itza. There's a few other sites that I had to go to, Balam, and one more, Ekbalam, and another one. Anyway, so during that process, it was something that I could not push the river. I could not push the river. I wanted to, believe me, because there was some really uncomfortable stuff happening, but the next step would not reveal itself to me until I completed the step before. So what was happening was that people were coming into my field that were really important beings on some level or another, and they wanted to work with me or have clearing work or whatever done. And once I would work with someone who was really significant that I worked with, that next step would reveal. And one of these people that I needed to work with was a young woman who, once I was, tapped into her field and started working her energy, she didn't have chakras. Okay. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then what happened were these other beings started presenting in the room that we were working in. And one of those beings was a Hyperborean. It was a Hyperborean being that was her in that form. And the Hyperborean showed me a connection with some other giants, and they showed me how they participated in the construct of Chichen Itza. Okay. If you've ever been there, powerful, powerful place. Amazing. Go to the ball court. It is amazing. People rave about the pyramids, which is cool too. But when you go to the ball court, that's not shut down. The energy of that is not shut down at all. You can truly look up and be completely connected with the galactic center. Anyway, I digress. So they showed me how they were part of contributed to the construction of Chichen Itza. But then they also showed me the human experiment. and how they were the race before the human race, and that there was all right, so not all the giants had good relationships. So just like with Anunnaki and other species of interdimensional extraterrestrial beings, there's some convoluted history, right? But these particular beings had a deep love and compassion for the dream of the mother, and truly was there to serve the dream of the mother, to taking it to the next level. And that next level was the coming of the humans, and being able to create a biosuit where consciousness can anchor even more deeply into 3D. So they created the chakra system and gifted it to humanity to help them help the Pachamama, serving Mother Nature, to assist the human in being able to be an adequate vehicle for them to embody even more deeply into the 3D. So this was a profound moment for me, because I was getting a whole education. That was the first time I actually worked with somebody who didn't have a chakra system, for one, but also to be working with the Hyperboreans on that level, that like completely changed everything about my work, the interaction. And they showed me what this was, and that yes, and they also confirmed that yes, these systems were also hijacked. But it's not because the system was put in place out of ill will. It was put in place out of goodwill, out of the service to the Pachamama, out of their agreement to help advance the dream. Okay. So the original intent of the chakras was not malicious. It was not. Later on, malicious things happened, but that's not the original intent. So in this way, this is why I'm telling you guys, it's not necessary to become self-realized. Having them removed is not necessary to become self-realized. Many people do get benefit out of it. Many people have huge relief of different levels of suffering from having it done, but it's not necessary. And if it was necessary for you on your journey, trust me, when it's time, it's time. It'll just happen. Like the story of those other star seeds I shared. It'll just happen. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have a few more comments, and then I'll go ahead and wrap up for today. All right. Dear Martine Evans, do you still have chakras? I'd like mine removed. Yes. No, not really. Well, they're different. They're imploded and they're suns. So they're the gold white opalescent suns. So technically, I guess you could say yes, but in the particular blueprint of the Vedic model, no, I do not. Then we have a dear sister Facebook user saying, I was at Chichen Itza in Mexico. The energy is amazingly huge. It was my first experience with this kind of energy. Wow. Yeah. So these are hyperdimensional places. They're all over the planet. I really hope that travel becomes more friendly to the holistic human again, because there's so many more places I want to visit. They really are magical. And when you have a connection to them on a spirit level, elemental level, or whatever, it really is a transforming experience just by being in that energy field. Okay, darlings, thank you. So good to have this chat with you guys today. Thank you for participating, everybody giving your comments. If you want to if you want to dive into this work that we do at the Academy, I encourage you to visit our website, lightbodyacademy.com. We have 2 programs, the Dreamtime Healing Project, which is like the entry level to our Academy. And then we also have something called the Healer Acceleration Lab. And if either of those sound in resonance for you, I encourage you to check it out. The next Healer Acceleration Lab will be starting in 2 weeks. So that's it for me. Thank you again, and I shall catch you guys next time. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye. Love you guys.